There were not many people who understood just how broad his interests were, and it's a huge advantage if you have somebody who can be recognized as that. So we literally came back from school, clouded on our ponies, allegations of a hidden palace, plot of rocked royal circles, and this time, the target may have been young Princess Charlotte. Rumors suggest Queen Camilla had a plan, but Princess Anne stepped in just in time. What really happened behind closed doors? Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Something didn't sit right with Princess Anne. She couldn't explain it, but she could feel it, a tension that quietly crept in around an upcoming royal appearance featuring young Princess Charlotte. It was supposed to be simple, a family event, a little spotlight on Charlotte, a chance for her to gently grow into the public eye. But then things began shifting. Subtle changes. Charlotte's planned speaking segment was modified, nothing too dramatic, but enough to raise eyebrows for anyone paying close attention. And Princess Anne always paid close attention. One comment, in particular, stuck with her. A passing whisper between two staffers. Let's make it interesting. This time, it was vague, maybe harmless, but Anne had heard enough palace whispers in her lifetime to know when something didn't feel right. That feeling wasn't new. It had echoes of the past, and Anne wasn't going to wait for history to repeat itself. She began noticing details, small, seemingly innocent tweaks in the event schedule. Charlotte's speech cards had unfamiliar handwriting. The seating chart placed her slightly farther from her parents than originally planned. Even the lighting cues had been altered to cast sharp shadows right where Charlotte would be sitting. Why would anyone adjust stage lighting for a child's appearance? Anne had seen it before. Tiny alterations designed not to ruin but to shed. Moment of hesitation, a stumble, a flash of discomfort captured on camera and spread across headlines. All it took was one wrong moment to change how someone was perceived. She didn't say anything out loud, not yet. Instead, she picked up her pen and returned to an old habit, recording everything in her private diary. This time, the entries came with urgency. She wasn't just observing, she was preparing. Princess Charlotte may be young, but her presence in the royal spotlight is growing. People are watching closely, and Anne knew that once the world begins watching, every move matters. She'd seen that pressure crush people before. To Anne, this wasn't just another event. It was a moment that could shape Charlotte's future in the public eye. If it went wrong, even slightly, it could follow her. The media wouldn't be kind. The judgment would be swift. Anne's diary entries turned emotional. She wrote about Charlotte's bright spirit, her curiosity, her grace under pressure. But she was still a child being slowly introduced to a very adult world. Anne knew she had to act, but carefully. No public scenes, no family confrontations, no calls to William or Catherine. Not yet. I've seen this game before, she wrote. But this time I won't watch it play out. As the event neared, Anne started pulling pieces together, and what she found alarmed her. There were whispers among palace staff, not loud enough to make headlines, but clear enough for someone like Anne to notice. Some aides, long tied to Queen Camilla's team, had been making small decisions that didn't add up. They weren't sabotaging outright. That would be too obvious. Instead, they were setting a stage where Charlotte could look unsure. Her notes had been slightly edited, just enough to throw off her rhythm. Her entrance timing had been shifted, placing her in a spotlight that might disorient her under pressure. Anne compared the original plans to what had been quietly changed. It was all too familiar. She remembered when similar tactics were used against Catherine years ago, and other subtle attempt to undermine, and this time the target was even more vulnerably. The night before the event, Anne decided to act. She didn't gather a team. She didn't issue warnings. She walked alone to the office of one of the aides connected to the event planning. No guards, no audience, just Anne, her quiet resolve. She didn't shout or accuse. Instead, she laid the altered cue cards on the desk. Then, calmly and quietly, she said, "Are you certain this is how you want to be remembered?" The aide froze, tried to deny everything, deflected, but didn't need a confession. She'd seen enough. She collected every document, every altered instruction. Then she left. No threats, no drama. Anne didn't aim to punish. She aimed to protect. Her next move was precise, restoring the speech materials, reassigning to staffers, and locking the original plan back into place. By morning, everything was back where it should be, and no one, not even Charlotte, knew how close the moment had come to slipping away. The event unfolded without a hitch. Cameras flashed, applause rose, and Princess Charlotte stepped forward with calm, bright composure. Her speech, though short, was flawless, her expression steady, every line, every pause, exactly as intended. And behind the scenes, Anne stood, off-stage, watching, waiting not for credit, not for praise, but for reassurance that Charlotte had made it through untouched. She didn't need a thank you. She just needed to see her niece shine. In her diary that evening, Anne wrote, "She spoke with strength, and the silence of what nearly happened that belongs to me." It wasn't just about the event. It was about making sure Charlotte's story remained hers and hers alone. Anne sat quietly after the event, reviewing the diary pages she'd written in the days leading up to it. One blank page remained, reserved for the one question that lingered. Should I have told William? From the outside, the decision might seem odd. After all, William is Charlotte's father. He's also fiercely protective. But Anne knew that's exactly why she couldn't tell him. His reaction would have been immediate and forceful. Not wrong, but risky. William isn't just a father. He's the future king. Every move he makes carries weight. If he had known about the altered plans or the whispers among staff, he might have gone directly to his team, demanded answers, possibly escalated the matter to Charles, or even gone public with his frustration. And Anne understood what that could mean: scandal, division, a spotlight turned inward at the very moment the family needed unity. She knew the palace didn't handle exposure well. The second too many voices got involved, it wouldn't be a quiet correction. It would be a storm. And at the center of that storm would be not just William, but Charlotte, the one person Anne was trying to protect. Anne's silence wasn't about secrecy. It was strategy, a way of safeguarding the moment from becoming a media circus. There was another layer too, something deeper. Anne feared that if William had known what nearly happened, he would have looked at Charlotte differently, not intentionally, not with judgment, but with a quiet worry, a need to hover, to protect, and that might have planted doubt in Charlotte's mind about whether she had truly done well on her own. Anne believed in preserving that confidence. After the event, she watched as William hugged Charlotte, lifting her into his arms and telling her how proud he was. "You were perfect," he said. Anne stood nearby, unnoticed, and simply smiled. She didn't interrupt. She wanted that moment to belong to them, unblemished. She imagined one day William might learn the truth, maybe years from now, maybe never, and if he did, she hoped he would understand. Anne didn't hide it from him out of fear. She did it out of trust that he would want his daughter to believe in herself more than in protection she never saw. In the end, the silence wasn't about leaving him out. It was about keeping the story whole, untouched, intact. Anne had long held a unique place within the royal family, not loud, not center stage, but undeniably influential. She didn't seek attention. She didn't crave headlines, yet, when it mattered most, she was always there, steady, grounded, alert. And this latest act of quiet protection only reinforced that legacy. After the event, Anne didn't call meetings or issue reprimands. There were no emails, no public fallout. She simply made a few phone calls, requested discreet staff changes, and ensured those involved were quietly moved elsewhere. One aide was reassigned to a less sensitive role, far from the family's inner circle. Another found themselves transferred abroad. No finger-pointing, no names on record. Why? Because Anne understood that real leadership isn't about revenge. It's about restoration, fixing what's broken without drawing more attention to the crack. In her diary, she wrote, The goal isn't to punish. The goal is to prevent the next time. She believed that subtlety could be stronger than spectacle, and by handling things quietly, she allowed the family to move forward without burdening anyone, especially Charlotte, with the knowledge of what had nearly happened. So here's what we're left with. One quiet guardian, one vulnerable royal moment, and a future that could have changed all with a few misplaced shadows and miswritten words. Anne didn't intervene for praise. She did it because she believed in something more powerful than protocol. Quiet protection, the kind that leaves no trace but changes everything. And that leads to a question for you. Do you think there are more unseen protectors behind the royal curtain? Should the public know more about what really happens in those gilded halls? Let us know in the comments. We're curious where you stand, and if you want more stories like this of silent power, hidden drama, and the strength behind the throne, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.